Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 22nd of October and welcome to the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. So guys, let's start with the video. In the today's video, we'll be discussing the entire analysis of the Hindu newspaper along with all the background as well as the value addition and the way forward in the articles we'll be taking up. And before starting, I would like to tell you that if you are new here, you can download the notes, detailed synoptic notes of all the articles that we are going to discuss from the Telegram channel. The link for the Telegram channel has been given in the description box in the YouTube. Moreover, you can visit the Telegram and can search there by typing Thinking Pellet by Sahil, and there you will get the notes of all the articles, and in the last also you will get the mains practice question. Now, let's start with the discussion, but before that, let's see the overview of the entire newspapers, and by the overview we'll try to understand that which articles are actually relevant and important for our examination. Now, first of all, the first article, take immediate action against the hate speech, Supreme Court. So we'll see this particular article with respect to the GS paper number 1 and as well as GS paper number 2 and the issues of hate speech. Moreover, here the Law Commission's 295 report we'll also additionally be discussing. Then Pakistan out of FATF. So all the issues with respect to the FATF for prelims and mains exam we'll see. After that, Imran Khan barred over election over corruption charges. Now, not important article for our examination. So moving on. After that, guys, next we see here that the spend at least 5% of travel expenses on local products, says Prime Minister. Now, Prime Minister has inaugurated certain ropeway projects in the Uttarakhand, and there he had said that in order to boost the tourism, in order to provide the employment opportunities to the local people, we should, whenever we are traveling, we should spend at least 5% on that particular thing. Okay, moving on. Are critically endangered great Indian bustards now migrating to Pakistan? So we'll see this particular article with respect to the environment and prelims examination. The side article is a political article, not important. Then guys, moving on, in the city section, the advertisements, tender, etc. have been given, not important for the exam. And then directly we come to the editorial page. So at the editorial page, an online fight where children needs to be saved. So this is a 5-star article discussing the entire issue of the child pornography and the related issues in that particular direction. So we'll see this particular article, a very comprehensive and detailed article. From the Great Hall, a focus on the PLA. So guys, as the National Congress of the CPC has been held, so on that particular direction, the key takeaways, will see this particular article. Okay, then moving on. Through choppy seas. Now this particular article, guys, talk about the political crisis going on in the in the Britain. So you see this particular thing that the UK is set to get the third prime minister in the 3 months. So the basically who is going to be the successor, and that particular thing is being discussed. However, UPSC relevant substance is not there in the article. Then missing down under. So basically in the past few years the ICC trophies have not been there. So the article is talking on that line. A crisis is brewing in the coffee industry. Now guys, the article, it is a ground zero report, and it talks about the crisis that the farmers are facing there. Now, however, when we talk about the article is not containing too much of the substance. Okay, the people, how much of a loan they have having, how much of the loan is outstanding, and all such kind of things are being provided. So for UPSC, much relevant substance is not there. Then moving on, terrorism is the worst form of human right violation. So we'll see this particular article. So with respect to the Interpol, there are certain suggestions that have been given by the Minister of Home Affairs by the India, that how the Interpol can effectively tackle the problem of terrorism. We'll see this particular thing. Then after that, political article, not important for the examination. Supreme Court to examine rising attacks onto the doctors. We'll see this particular article with respect to the examination. Then moving on, after that, the Tejas to be integrated with BrahMos NG. We'll see this particular article also. Okay, army chopper crashes in Arunachal. Okay, so this is an unfortunate event that has happened. Then state government cannot enter into the broadcasting on their own, the I&B ministry. Okay, so basically when we talk about the broadcasting, so for broadcasting rights, the approval from INB has to be taken. However, guys, these are the technical details. Okay, on such kind of things, you don't need to fixate too much. Then moving on, Tamil Nadu fishermen injured after warning shots. Okay, then the Paddy pellet scheme. Now we'll see this Paddy pellet scheme. There are some criticisms that have come. Okay, so few days back we have seen this particular article. Smart army post to improve conditions of the troops. We'll see this article also briefly. Then after that, guys, coming to the world page. So again the UK political crisis is going on. CPC to amend the constitution. We'll see this particular article along with that in the editorial page. Then China makes a push for global green dominance. So guys, now basically when we talk about the China, this is all what has happened into the session of the Communist Party of China's National Congress that has happened. Right now, the China is the world's largest producer and consumer of renewable energy. Fine. Now they want to bring a kind of a, they want to increase this particular dominance in the entire world. Then the Reliance India's corporate profits, etc. Fine. No need to go into this particular direction. And then we have the weekend sport page. Okay, so that is all, guys, about the overview of the entire newspaper, and now let's discuss all the relevant articles one by one in the detail. Okay, now let's start with the discussion. Now in every class, before starting, we take a GS quotation that can be used in one of your papers or in the essay. So today we'll take the quotation from the Minister of External Affairs, Mr. S. Jaishankar. So S. Jaishankar has given a quotation, basically this is an excerpt from one of the speech that has been given by the Minister of External Affairs, and it contains that how India has played a very important role in arresting the fundamentalism. So Mr. S. Jaishankar says that India's multi-faith society is also an enormous contribution to global stability. In fact, that is what act as a firewall preventing the spread of fundamentalism and radicalism from India's west to its east. Now, when we talk about the India's west, we have the countries such as Pakistan, Afghanistan. Now, Pakistan has always been the hotbed of radicalism. The Pakistan has been the exporter of terrorism. Okay. Now, India has always acted as a buffer zone in between due to its democratic strength, due to its diversity, by being a multi-faith, robust society. India has always insulated the East from the spread of the radicalism. So, this is the strength of the Indian democracy. This is the strength of the diversity that India hails. So, guys, it's a very beautiful quotation and a very beautiful part from one of the speech. You can use such kind of ideas in the essays. You can use such kind of an ideas in the essays. So that is all about this quotation. And now let's take the first article. Okay, so the first article, it seems to be a small article, but it is a very, very important article for the examination. Now, the article will be important for the prelims examination as well as mains examination. Okay, in the prelims examination, the question can be asked. Into the mains examination, the international organizations and their mandate. International organizations and their mandate. There we'll see that. Now, the article reads that the Pakistan is out of the FATF grey list on the terror funding. Okay, so we'll first of all be seeing the entire background. We'll see the entire background as well as the value addition, that what the FATF is, why the Pakistan was added into the grey list, and now why it has been removed, and what will be the implications on the India by that particular thing. Okay, so basically when we talk about the FATF, it stands for the Financial Action Task Force. And Financial Action Task Force, it is a global body whose aim is to reduce the terror financing, to reduce the money laundering, and no money should go to support the terrorist outfits. This is the aim of the Financial Action Task Force. Now, it is an intergovernmental body. It means that the different government send their representatives in it, okay, and it aims to bring the cooperation amongst the different partners. Okay. Now, this particular body, it aims to prevent international financial crimes which aids terrorism. Now, the FATF was established in 1989 at the G7 summit in the Paris. Okay, and the FATF right now, it comprises 37 member jurisdiction, 37 member countries are there, and along with that, 2 regional organizations, regional grouping are also the part of the FATF. These 2 regional groupings, it includes number 1, the European Commission, and number 2, the Gulf Cooperation Council. Is it clear? When we talk about India, India is also the member of the FATF, and India has been the member of FATF since 2010. The headquarters or the secretariat of this FATF, it is at the OECD headquarters in Paris. So OECD stands for Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development. So at their headquarters, the secretariat of the FATF is also located. Now, as I told you that FATF aims to reduce the money laundering, terror financing, terror funding. So for that particular thing, FATF from time to time issues certain directions. It issues certain frameworks, certain guidelines that every country has to follow. Now, in this particular direction, guys, the countries who don't follow the FATF's direction, they are put either in a blacklist or they are put in the grey list if they are not following that particular thing. First of all, let's understand that what are these black and the grey list, and then we'll see the case of the Pakistan. Now, first of all, we have the grey list. We have the grey list. Now, the grey list countries are those countries which are considered as the safe haven for supporting the terror funding. There, the laws are not stringent enough. There can be certain loopholes by which the terrorist can receive the funding. Okay, these are those countries. Now, guys, first of all, any country, if they are not fulfilling all the mandates, they are put into the grey list. And this particular thing serves a warning that if a country doesn't improves the way of doing their work, then they will be put into the blacklist. So grey list is a warning, and then the blacklist will come. Now, blacklist, it is the countries who come in the blacklist, they are called as a non-cooperative countries or non-cooperative territories. Now, these countries are those who openly facilitate the terror funding, and after coming into the blacklist, the financial organizations, IMF, World Bank, from them they will not be able to access the money. The global financial institutions will be blacklisting or will be regulating or will not be having the full-fledged interactions with such kind of a countries. When we talk about the FATF blacklist countries, in this particular list, we have the countries such as the Democratic Republic, People's Republic of the Korea, fine. We have Iran. Okay, these are the countries who are into the blacklist. Okay, then now, guys, in this particular direction, the Pakistan. Let's discuss about the Pakistan's case. So Pakistan was put into the grey list. Now, the Pakistan was multiple times have been listed into the grey list. For the first time, it was listed in 2008. Then it came out, and then it was put there into the grey list in 2012 to 2015. Then after 2018, again the Pakistan has been put into the grey list, and now it has been removed. So 2018 to 2022, 4 years Pakistan was in this particular grey list. Now, guys, if any country wants to be removed from this particular grey list, they have to fulfill all the tasks that are recommended by the FATF. So in 2018, there was a 27-point action plan that was given to Pakistan. After that, it was expanded to 27-point action plan. After that, it was expanded. There were certain directives that Pakistan has to follow. Now, Pakistan was trying to do compliances, and in 2022, all those compliances got completed, and because of that particular thing, now the Pakistan has been removed. So I told you that if a country wants to get removed, it has to fulfill all the tasks recommended by FATF. It has to, for example, confiscating the properties of the individuals who are associated with the terrorist groups. Okay, the FATF then can remove that particular country. Now, what are the implications of going into the grey list? If a country is placed into the grey list, it gives signal to the global financial and banking system that there are the risks associated with that particular country. If any transaction is done with that particular country, there might be the repercussions. So therefore, they will be very much restrained. Full-fledged banking services will not be given to them. Moreover, if a country is into the grey list, then the IMF, World Bank, okay, or their organs which provide the funding, okay, they will be restrained. And if a blacklisted country is there, then there will be full-fledged sanctions that will come. So now the Pakistan has been removed from this particular grey list because it has fulfilled the compliances that have been given since 2018. Now in this particular direction, India had provided this particular thing that as now Pakistan has been removed, Pakistan should continue to take the credible, verifiable, irreversible and sustainable actions against the terrorist groups. Many of the terrorist organizations, even into the past, there have been credible reports that even the Al-Qaeda had got some safe bastions into the Pakistan. So such kind of a thing should not be done. So that is all, guys, about this particular thing. Now we need to see this particular thing. See, always understand one particular thing, guys. Basically, China's approach towards India is this, that China doesn't want to see prosperous India, but India's approach is different. India wants to see prosperous Pakistan, because prosperous Pakistan or a stable Pakistan will always be in interest of India, because if stability is there into the Pakistan, the spillover effects of terrorism might be reduced. So India always talks about the neighborhood first policy, and into the context of neighborhood first policy, we first of all wish that all our neighbors should be stable, because the stability of a neighborhood will bring the stability into the India. So when we talk about the foreign policy of India, it always wishes in that particular direction. So now also we have said that okay, the Pakistan came out, and we also expect that the Pakistan will continue to take credible, verifiable and irreversible sustainable action against the terrorist groups, but sadly they don't understand that particular thing. Now moving to the next article. Okay, moving to the next article. Now the article, this article reads that are critically endangered great Indian bustards now migrating to Pakistan. Okay, so great Indian bustards migrating to Pakistan. Now this article is very important for the prelims examination as well as for the mains examination, GS paper number 3, environment and conservation. Okay, one more thing, guys, that even in the previous article, FATF's mandate, their representatives, countries, now such kind of things are asked into the prelims examination, also into the international grouping. In the past, such questions have been asked. So please be very careful on that particular thing. Now, let's discuss this particular article. First of all, before going in this particular article, now there is only 2-line substance that has been mentioned, but apart from that, there are other points also that we need to see. Now, when we talk about, guys, the great Indian bustard, okay, great Indian bustard is a very, very important species. Why? Number one, great Indian bustard is a critically endangered species, and 95% population, world population, 95% of the global population of the great Indian bustard is found in India, in Rajasthan, and some more states also. There are the minor populations that are there. Now, when we talk about the great Indian bustard, it is the state bird of the Rajasthan, and it is considered as the most critically endangered bird. Fine, it has just 150 population, and 95% of the total world population is in India. Now, guys, the great Indian bustard, okay, little bit I will tell you more about that, and then we'll go to the context of this particular article. So it is called as the flagship grassland species. Now, guys, there are certain species which are called as the indicator species, which indicate the health of a particular ecosystem. If an ecosystem is in good health, the numbers of those species will be in the healthy range. Now, the great Indian bustard, it is a flagship grassland species, and it represents the health of the grassland ecology. Okay, and as there are certain scarce grasslands that are found in the Rajasthan, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh. In all these states, the population of a great Indian bustard is found, but majority of the population of a great Indian bustard is found in the one state, that is the Rajasthan. Now, when we talk about the great Indian bustard, I told you it is critically endangered bird. Now, first of all, what are the reasons that the great Indian bustard became critically endangered? So, there are majorly the 3 reasons that have been there. Number 1, collision and electrocution with the power transmission lines. Now, guys, understand this particular thing. I want to tell you one very important dimension here. See, many number of times what happens, even the policies that are aimed towards environmental and sustainable development, they come in conflict with the ecology. I'll tell you one thing. When we talk about Rajasthan, today Rajasthan is trying to tap on the solar energy. Rajasthan trying to tap on the solar energy because it has more than 220 days where there is good sunshine that is available. Now for solar energy, Rajasthan is deploying the solar power transmission lines. Now as these transmission lines are being deployed throughout the Rajasthan, the great Indian bustards are having a problem with that because they have a very poor frontal vision, and as they have poor frontal vision, many a number of times they are not able to see these wires. They get trapped into these wires, they get strangulated, they get electrocuted into these particular wires. So because of that particular thing, into the past few years there is the great decline in the population of the great Indian bustard that has happened because of the electrocution in these power transmission lines. Then guys, you see this particular thing that Rajasthan has a boundary with the Pakistan, and for birds they don't understand any boundaries. So many a times the birds, great Indian bustard, they go into the Pakistan, and in the Pakistan there is the hunting of the great Indian bustard that is still prevalent. So because of that particular thing, the great Indian bustard's population which migrated to Pakistan, now वो चले गए but वापस नहीं आए वहाँ से. So this is also the reason that is impacting their population. Then there is a habitat loss due to widespread agricultural expansion. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that over the period of time we have come out with many of the irrigation schemes. For example, Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana. Now Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana has a good impact that it is bringing the irrigation, and even the regions of the Rajasthan, they are able to grow the agricultural crops. But there is a downside of such development. What has happened? It has taken away the grasslands, and by that the habitats of the great Indian bustards have got reduced. Because of that particular thing also, their population has been reduced a lot. Now, so therefore for the great Indian bustards, I had also given you here in the handout itself that conservation plans that are being taken by the government. So first of all, there is the species recovery program, and under the species recovery program, the great Indian bustards are being recovered, they are being conserved. Now the species recovery program, it is under the integrated development of wildlife habitat, and it is being run by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. At the same time, Rajasthan government has also taken some of the steps. For example, they have launched the project Great Indian Bustard, and the aim of the project Great Indian Bustard is to develop the breeding enclosures. In the breeding enclosures, fine, they will be bred so that their population can be increased. That infrastructure is being developed, human pressure on their habitats is being reduced, fine. So the expansion of agriculture, etc., that has happened, it is being reduced. So these are some of the conservation steps that have been there. So guys, this is the entire thing about the great Indian bustard, and now this particular article will be very easy on you. So I told you that in the great Indian bustards, many a times they enter in the Pakistan, and they basically there is the Cholistan desert, fine, where they enter, and in the Cholistan desert there they are hunted. Now what has happened recently, few of the great Indian bustards, they have been sighted in the Cholistan. However, in Pakistan, the great Indian bustard population is not there because all of them have got hunted. So basically it raises this particular suspicion that the great Indian bustards into the Cholistan, in the Pakistan, whatever they are the ones who got migrated from India. Now if they will migrate, and because Pakistan is not having the conservation policies in the place, what will happen? It will impact the entire desert ecosystem which is shared between both India and Pakistan. So there are the reports, as they have been cited there, that they got migrated from India only, fine. So this is something that has come in this particular direction. Guys, I hope that you have understood this particular thing. So when we talk about the Rajasthan, fine, so in the Rajasthan, the Desert National Park, they are specifically conserved, and their majority of population is in the Desert National Park in the Rajasthan, but now they are migrating to Pakistan, and there they might face some threats of extinction. So this is, guys, the entire article. Now beyond that, you don't need to go and you don't need to see anything with respect to the great Indian bustard, because all these dimensions that are important for the exam, including the value addition and the background, I had given you here in notes. So please download these notes and please use it. Now moving on, the next article. Okay. Take immediate action against the hate speech, Supreme Court. Take immediate action against the hate speech, Supreme Court. Now, this particular article, it talks about the Supreme Court, which has given the directives that the police agencies, particularly they have said that the police agencies into some of the states such as the Uttar Pradesh, Delhi, they are not taking the actions against the hate speeches that have been made in the past. So the actions should be taken immediately. This is something that has been provided. Okay, we'll come on that particular thing, but before that, when we talk about the hate speech, this particular topic becomes very important for GS paper number 1, the threats to diversity, as well as GS paper number 2, social justice, GS paper number 2, social justice. Okay, now guys, when we talk about the hate speech, let's discuss some of the points that can be used in the examination directly. The hate speech, as well as the rumor mongering, now they have a big potential to provoke the individuals, it can provoke the society, and because of the hate speeches, the acts of terrorism, genocide where entire community is to be cleansed, okay, ethnic cleansing, such kind of a things can happen. We have seen this particular thing into the past. So many of the communal riots that have happened in the India, they happened because of the hate speech, including the Northeast Delhi riots of 2020. Fine. So the hate speech can impact the democracy negatively. Now, on the hate speech, guys, I am just trying to give you the reference. There is already the Law Commission report that has come. That is the Law Commission report number 267. Now, this Law Commission report already provided this thing that the hate speech are a very problematic thing in India. Now, when we talk about hate speech, guys, understand this particular thing. There are the sections such as the section number 153, section number 295 of the IPC, which aims to arrest these hate speeches, okay, where a statement or a speech is being made which might promote the enmity between the two groups, they can be charged. But when we talk about the hate speech, I want to tell you that many number of times the hate speech is most used into the elections, but in the elections we don't have any specific law that governs the hate speech and rumor mongering. So these are some of the issues with respect to the hate speech. I'll come to remaining issues just in a minute. Now, but first of all, before that, let's go to this particular article. Now, what is this particular article is talking about? Now, the article is talking about here the Supreme Court. What has happened? Supreme Court has provided this particular thing that in the 21st century, it is very tragic what we have reduced religion to in the 21st century. A climate of hate prevails in the country, and because the climate of hate prevails, it is not good for the society. So therefore, the Supreme Court has given the directives to the police and authorities to immediately register the cases against the person who have made the hate speeches, and the complaints should be filed in this particular thing. Okay, so guys, there was a petition, and on this particular petition, the directives have been given. Supreme Court says that it is a very shocking statements have been made in the country that has to be religious neutral. Now you see this thing that we are a secular country. Article 25 to 28 of the Indian Constitution specifically gives the secular character, and then 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act specifically added the word secularism in the Indian Constitution. But so therefore India has to be religious neutral, but religious undertones are there in everywhere. Fine, where we have reached, what we have reduced religion to, it is very tragic. Okay, this is something that has happened. Fine, so basically the direction have been given, okay, on basically Kapil Sibal, what statement it was made, such kind of things have been provided. Now, apart from that, nothing is important. Now, coming back again to this particular article. So, as the hate speeches, even the Supreme Court had said that police should register the complaints. I want to talk a little bit more on one specific dimension of the hate speech, that is the hate speeches that are being made during the time of elections. So, I told you that the topic of hate speech has already been discussed by the Law Commission report number 267. Moreover, in the past, the Supreme Court in one of a judgment, that is the Abhiram Singh case, Supreme Court said that any appeal to vote or refrain from voting on the grounds of religion, caste, race, community, okay, would amount to corrupt practice under the 1951 RPA, Representation of People Act. This is something that Supreme Court has already said. But guys, still we see this thing that the hate speeches in the elections is very rampant. It is being used every now and then. Okay, now as we talk about this particular hate speech issue, now recently guys, what has happened, Election Commission of India appeared in the front of the Supreme Court particularly on that particular matter, and the Election Commission of India has provided this particular thing, that the 267 report of the Law Commission, it talked about the hate speech, but it had not make any recommendations, okay, any recommendations, or had not given any power to de-recognize the political party if they are making the hate speech. So Election Commission of India says that hate speeches are being used in elections, but we are helpless. We don't have any power to de-recognize a political party or disqualify a candidate on that particular direction. Even the Election Commission of India has asked that there should be a specific law. Right now there is a lack of specific law, and such kind of a thing is happening. Though there is a model code of conduct that is resorted, but the model code of conduct, it has no statutory backing, no legal sanctity. So the Election Commission of India needs to be given a specific power under the article number 324. The power are to be expanded. Moreover, you can suggest that simply a new law for regulating the elections and to give more teeth to the Election Commission of India, a new law is needed. Fine. So when we talk about the hate speeches, the specific dimension of hate speech, that is the speech in elections, is a very important dimension, and this is one additional dimension that we have covered in this particular article. Okay, so here the Supreme Court have just said to the police that you should register the cases. So that is all about this particular article. I hope that you have understood it, and now we'll move to the next article. An online fight where children need to be saved. Okay, so guys, this is 5-star article, or rather I will say that it is a 7-star article dealing with the issue of child pornography in India. Okay, now understand this particular thing guys, that in the GS paper number 2, social justice, we have the topic of vulnerable sections of Indian society, and within the topic of the vulnerable section of Indian society, there are the children issues that will come, and the children's sexual abuse. Okay, all these particular topics will be coming here. Fine, so we'll see these particular things. Fine. Okay, now first of all guys, understand this particular thing, that the article is talking about many of the references, it is talking about many of the databases which gives the credible information of the child pornography. So I'm going to use many references, and I will highly be I will be insisting that please note down these particular references in your notes. Now recently what has happened, the CBI has carried an operation, that is the Operation Megh Chakra. Now this Operation Megh Chakra was carried to reduce, to curb the online circulation and the sharing of the child sexual abusive material, that is the CSAM. Again I'll repeat, child sexual abusive material, CSAM. Now these are the child pornographies, okay, child pornographies or the videos of the child rape that are circulating onto the internet. Okay, now first of all, when we talk about that this Megh Chakra, the Megh Chakra, how this exercise was carried, so it was carried onto the basis of the intel, onto the basis of information that was given the Interpol's Singapore Special Unit, and Interpol's Singapore Special Unit got the information from the New Zealand. Last year, that is in 2021 also, a similar operation, that was Operation Carbon, was launched by the CBI, and then also the people were booked under the IT Act 2000 if they were having the storage, or if they were found in possession, or if they were commercially using the child pornography. So the Operation Chakra, Operation Megh Chakra in 2022 and Operation Carbon in 2021 has happened. Okay, now guys, when we talk about the pornography, what are the provisions in the India? So first of all, watching the adult pornography, it is not an offense. Watching the adult pornography in private is not an offense, but at the same time, viewing, exchanging, commercially using the child pornography, it is a kind of an offense, and it is punishable under the provisions of the IT Act 2000. Moreover, even the POCSO, Protection of the Children from the Sexual Offences, POCSO Act of 2019 and the POCSO Rules of 2020 has also brought the child pornography under a category of offense. Now, today when we talk about India, guys, in India, first of all, there is a very big problem that the public reporting of the circulation of online CSAM, child pornography, it is very much low. So people don't report that particular thing, and at the same time there is no automated system with the cyber cells, there is no automated system with the policing agencies where they can get to know about the prevalence of the child pornography on the internet. So public reporting is not there, and at the same time automatic electric monitoring is also not there. In this particular direction, first of all, the other countries such as the many of the countries such as the US, UK, they have done some of very good work and in order to deter this child pornography. For example, we'll take the example there is the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, which is a non-profit organization of United States. Okay, so this National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, it operates a program. The name of the program is Cyber Tipline. Cyber Tipline. Now this Cyber Tipline, it reports the instances of the child sexual exploitation, child pornography if they are prevailing on the internet. And this NCMEC, it has its cyber tip line, it has received 29.3 million reports, okay, in the year 2021. So only in 2021, 29.3 million reportings of the child pornography on the internet they have found, okay, and they have reported that particular thing. Okay, now when we talk about the UK, in the UK there is, okay, I hope it's visible now. In the UK, there is Internet Watch Foundation. Now, this Internet Watch Foundation, what it does, it engages the analyst. It engages analysts, the researchers who will actively be searching for the prevalence of the child pornography on the internet. Okay, so if there is any child pornography, any criminal content, fine, where the children are being shown in where they are being sexually assaulted and such videos are posted, fine, they report that particular thing to the enforcement agencies. Okay, in 2021 IWF assessed about 70% reports, basically they got the data, and in these data they found that 70% of them had the child sexual materials pornographies. Apart from that, there is another, that is the InHope. Now InHope, it is a global network of 50 hotlines. Okay, so 46 member countries, they are running the hotlines, and it is a grouping of those all 50 hotlines across the 46 countries InHope. And in this particular InHope, the member countries, the groupings, they provide they provide a kind of a facility where public can anonymously report the CSAM. So if any person comes across that any social media group or at any place the child pornography is being circulated, they can report that particular matter. Is it clear or not? In 2021, fine, the number of exchange content URLs stood at 9 lakh. So these are the URLs which are containing such kind of things. Then moving on. In India, let's talk about what is happening in the context of India. So when we talk about India, guys, in India, there was the Shreya Singhal judgment of 2015. Now, the Shreya Singhal judgment is also important for, the section 66A that got struck in this particular judgment. Even that part we have discussed earlier. But in the Shreya Singhal judgment, there is also one more direction that came. Internet service providers were provided this particular thing, that they can remove the online material only after being notified by the appropriate government. Okay, only after notifying by the appropriate government. If there is no such kind of a notification, then they should not go forward. After that, there is one more judgment, that one more case that has been there in this particular direction, that is the Kamlesh Vaswani 2013 case. Okay, Kamlesh Vaswani 2013 case. Now this particular case was filed into the Supreme Court for seeking the complete ban on the pornography, child pornography, adult pornography, all the pornographies were to be banned as per this Kamal Vaswani case. Now because of that particular thing, the Supreme Court has issued orders and has asked to disable some of the URLs. 9 domains, 9 URLs were to be disabled, but up till now this petition is pending. Up till now, final decision has not come in this particular direction. Actually, it was said that under article number 19, though freedoms have been mentioned, but there is also the reasonable restriction that is there, and therefore using the reasonable restrictions, these pornographies need to be banned. Now, that is something that is there. Now, when we talk about the civil societies into the context of India, we have the Aramb India initiative. Aramb India initiative. Now, Aramb India, it is a Mumbai-based NGO and it has partnered with the IWF. IWF. If you remember, we have discussed the IWF already, that is the Internet Watch Foundation, and it is UK based. So Aramb has collaborated with the IWF and has launched online reporting portal in 2016 to report the child abuse and child pornographic materials if they are there. Secondly, so this is one, Aramb. Secondly, the Ministry of Home Affairs has also taken one initiative. So Minister of Home Affairs has launched the National Cyber Crime Reporting Portal in 2018. This cyber crime portal was specifically to report the matters of the child pornography and child rape. Okay, then what has happened now, one thing I want to tell you, this particular thing came because of a Supreme Court direction with respect to a PIL that was filed by the Prajwala, which was a NGO which works for the rescue of the sex survivors, okay, sex trafficking survivors. Okay, so the MHA has come out with the National Cybercrime Portal. However, what happened, because the many of the cases were not being filed, many of the information was not being reported by the public. Okay, this particular portal was extended to all types of cyber crimes. Okay, and National Crime Record Bureau signed an MOU with the NCMEC in 2019 to receive cyber tip line reports. Okay, so if you remember NCMEC, it is a USA's agency. NCMEC, it is a USA's agency, I already told you, and it runs the cyber tip line. So cyber tip line will provide the reports to MHA. This MOU has been signed by the MHA, which is a good thing. Fine. At the same time, there is one committee, that is the ad hoc committee of the Rajya Sabha, which was headed by the Jairam Ramesh. And in this particular committee, they have provided this particular thing, that there is the alarming issue of pornography on the social media, and it has the negative impact onto such children, on the society. So when the pornography is easily available and many times it is being circulated onto the social media websites, it is something negative. Moreover, child pornography issue is also there, and on that some proactive steps are needed. Now, this particular committee recommended that there should be permission to break the end-to-end encryption, partnerships with the industry. We should develop tools using artificial intelligence, dark web investigations. We should having the technologies to trace the identity of the people who have transmitted these pornographies, etc. online. So these are the suggestions that were given by the Jairam Ramesh committee. Okay, and that is something that has happened. So guys, what should be the way forward? What we should do? Number one, according to a 2000 report on the International Center for Monitoring of Exploited Children, on child sexual abuse material, model legislation and global review. Okay, so this is a very long name that is there. They have provided this thing that 30 countries have mandatory provisions for reporting of the child pornography. Mandatory provisions for reporting the child pornography. But in the context of India, such mandatory reporting provisions are not there as per this particular report. After that also, there is an optional protocol to the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. And this optional protocol on the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, it also talks about this particular thing, that liability of the legal person, now liability of the websites who are hosting such child pornography, it needs to be there. Moreover, Europe's Convention on Cybercrime and Convention on the Protocol of Children Against Sexual Exploitation, they have provided that there should be the corporate liability. So this is something that have been provided. Now the article is saying that it is time that India should join the InHope, which is the consortium of the 50 hotlines across 46 countries, and it should have its own hotline to coordinate the issues related to the child pornography that has been there. So guys, this is all the points that have been provided. Fine, so I hope that you have understood this particular article. Okay, now one thing I want to say here, guys, that when we are sharing the synoptic notes, sometimes there is a lot of content on one page. So the notes, it become little bit smaller at some times. So guys, for that particular thing, why I am putting it one page, so that there is no unnecessary confusion. Okay, and if the font size sometimes is small, please do zoom it out. And you can read it very comfortably. Okay, so we provide the file in the highest resolution. Okay, that is something that could be done. Moreover, guys, one more thing, as you know this particular thing, that earlier the files were not editable. Now the files are editable. It can be copied and pasted also. Okay, so if you want to take the printout, and if sometimes some of the articles, if they contain 2-3 page content, okay, and if sometimes they are not Sometimes if they are not visible, you can paste it at some place else also. Okay, so just telling you so that the work is easy, more easy for you. Now moving to the next page. From the Great Hall, a focus on the PLA, and one more article, that is the CPC. One more article, that is the CPC, set to amend the constitution with Xi Jinping I on the status of Mao. So this particular article will see the key takeaways from the National Congress of the Communist Party of China that is being held in China. Fine, in this particular direction already I think 4 or 5 articles we have seen between the time of the 10 October to 16th of October, because on 16th of October this particular meet got started. Now little bit background I give you, that the National Congress of the Communist Party of China, it is once in a 5-year event that is held, and in this particular event for the next 5 years, the outlook of the Communist Party, what will be the priorities, okay, all these things are laid down. Fine. Now, so key takeaways from this particular meet we are going to take. Okay, let's start with that. So basically guys, in this particular National Congress of the Communist Party of China, there are certain takeaways that have been there. Number one, here the Xi Jinping has used the phrase power strong strategic deterrent capabilities system, that it has to be expanded. Okay, now this line is very important, again we'll read it. Okay, it has provided that China will try to enhance the powerful strong strategic deterrent capabilities system. Now in this particular direction, what are the specific key takeaways? Number one, the China is probably going forward for the expansion of the ongoing their nuclear expansion. Now guys, when we talk about the China, in the past 2 years alone, China has built at least 215 missile silos. And as China has built 250 missile silos, it means that the China is moving towards the strategic deterrent of the world against the China. This is something that is happening. Moreover, it also seems that the China is trying to move towards the launch on the warning nuclear posture. Now what it means? Basically guys, it simply means that China will just give a warning, okay, that they say that okay, there is a threat that is coming towards us, and in response we are launching a nuclear missile. So it is a very ready nuclear posture. Are you getting it or not? For example, India's nuclear posture is no first use. We say that we will never be first using the nuclear weapon against any country. Okay, now the China is moving to the low, that is the launch on warning. So just after the warning, China can launch the nuclear missiles. That is something that is happening. After that, China is also increasing their nuclear warhead stockpile. Now as of today, China has around 350 nuclear warheads, and they aim to double their nuclear warheads in the next 10 years. So they are aiming to have at least 700 nuclear warheads into the next 10 years. So first of all these things, if you see together, fine, it simply provides this thing that the China is moving towards powerful strong strategic deterrent capability system. Now the China is doing this particular thing in order to become a regional hegemon, and finally to become a global hegemon. Okay, now second thing is that the China is also focusing on the PLA's modernization and China's military reforms. But now the China in this particular National Congress has talked more about reforming the military academies, improving military logistics and resource management. Now military logistics, it is very important. Logistics means that transfer of weaponry, transfer of their weaponry, tanks from one place to another place. Now you guys see this particular thing around the LAC, line of actual control. China is going for a lot of mobilizations. They are posting their tanks, their artilleries, their weaponaries, the heavy weaponaries there. Okay, now China is basically getting itself ready to fight the war into the different terrains, and for that thing, logistic capability of the armed forces is very important. So they're focusing on that particular direction. Then basically what has happened, China has given an added emphasis on the PLA's loyalty to the CCP, Communist Party of China, communist, okay, okay, China's Communist Party. Now understand this particular thing, guys, that Mao Zedong, who was the founding father of the China, he said this particular thing. His very famous quotation, and you might also have heard this thing. He said that political powers grows out of the barrel of the gun. Political power grows out of the barrel of the gun. Okay, so political power comes with the military power, and for that particular thing, any political leader also need to have the loyalty of their armed forces. Okay, today it is very much important, that the China's Communist Party, the general secretary of the China, they should have absolute loyalty of the armed forces. Okay, that is something which is very much important. So therefore it has been provided that there needs to be more enhanced loyalty of the armed forces to the CCP. Okay, then the fourthly, China has also talked about winning the local wars first. Now in the past, China has focused on fighting and winning the war. Now they are talking about winning the local wars. Now what are the local wars? Local wars are the regional wars that are happening. So China for example is having the confrontations with many of the countries into the Indian Ocean, South Pacific Ocean, South China Sea, Taiwan, okay, South China Sea. Even there is a dispute with the India that China is manufacturing onto the line of actual control around the Galwan Valley patrolling point. Okay, patrolling point 15, recently they withdrew, but this entire line of actual control, even the Arunachal Pradesh, it has become a new it has become a kind of again a place where the confrontations are coming. So these local wars are something which China aims to win first. So I told you earlier also that China wants to become first a regional hegemon, and after that China wants to become a global hegemon. So to become the regional hegemon, these local wars are needed to be fought and won first. After that, China is further moving on in enhancing the role of technology, improving force mobilization, border defense capabilities, advances in combat capabilities. These are all the key concerns and already we discussed. Then the next development is there that the Communist Party of China is going to amend the constitution of the China, and Xi Jinping will be given the status equivalent of Mao Zedong, who has been the founding father of the China in the past. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that basically this particular constitution will be amended, and the Xi Jinping will be called as the people's leader. Now people's leader is specifically it is a tag that has been used for the Mao Zedong, and no leader has been called as people's leader till this time, and now the Xi Jinping is being hailed as the people's leader. Now guys, the amendments are being made to the constitution which will fully embody the latest achievements in adopting the Marxism, okay, adapting the Marxism to the Chinese context and to the needs of the time. Now the China doesn't want to just adopt the socialism, the communism of the past. They want to have the socialism with the Chinese characteristics. Are you getting it or not? So that is something that has been talked. Moreover, already we have discussed this particular thing, that in 2018 already the Xi Jinping has abolished the 2-year term limit for the post of the president. Okay, so there was a 2-year term limit, now that has been abolished, and now the Xi Jinping is going to become the president for the third time, and even he might be the president for the life because the limit on the presidency has already been abolished. So these are guys all the key takeaways from these particular articles. Okay, in the past also multiple times we have discussed these particular articles. I hope that it is clear. Fine. Now we'll move to our next article. Paddy pellet scheme does not account for production cost, says entrepreneur. Okay, now this particular article will see with respect to the GS paper number 3, environmental conservation. Okay, now before moving in this particular article, guys, you should know a little bit of a background first, and after knowing this particular background, we'll be able to make more sense of this particular entire article. Okay, background. Now guys, understand this particular thing. that first of all, when we talk about this time of the year, that is the October and November, this is the time that winter pollution will become a very big problem throughout the North India, and the North India will become a gas chamber. I have told you multiple number of times. Fine. Now in this particular direction, when we talk about the pollution problem, the biggest culprit of the pollution is the stubble burning. It is the stubble burning that is carried in the states of Haryana, Punjab and the western Uttar Pradesh. Now for the stubble, there have been many of the solutions that have been proposed in the past also. For example, spraying the Pusa decomposer onto the stubbles. Okay. Second is that using the happy cedar or all such kind of things. And there is one more suggestion that could be there, is that the stubble that is being burnt. Now this particular stubble could be converted in the stubble pellets. Now the stubble pellets are the stubble pellets are used in the coal fired power plants, where they could be burnt to generate the electricity. So that is something that has been talked about. Now little bit we'll talk about this biomass pellets, or the pellets that can be made by the stubbles. So basically the biomass pellets, okay, biomass pellets, okay, so these are very small kind of pellets. Okay, now these biomass pellets, they are manufactured out of the agricultural biomass. They can be made by the stubble, they can be made by the sugarcane biomass. Okay, now they first of all can substitute the coal, as they can be burned into the coal fired power plants, and they actually provide more heat and emit fewer carbon emission, they emit fewer particulate matter, 50% less particulate matter is emitted, and even it gives out fraction of the ash compared to the coal. So coal, it gives out ash, it leads to more particulate matter emission that is reduced, and even it gives more heat. So it has been provided itself by the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, that are about 270 million tons of agricultural waste is produced annually. 270 million ton of waste is produced annually, and this particular waste can be used to produce 28,000 megawatt of power. Okay, so we call it as waste to energy, and at the same time guys, the biomass pellets are more effective and more efficient than the coal. According to the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, it has been provided that 8 kg biomass pellets can provide the can provide the heat, can give the calorific value equivalent to 1000 kg of coal. So it is more efficient, so they should be used. Fine. Now in this particular direction guys, understand this particular thing, that in India, when we talk about particularly the North India, there is 27 million tons of paddy straw that is generated in Punjab and Haryana alone. Okay, and when this paddy is being generated, 75% of the paddy is from the non-basmati rice, which cannot be fed to the cattle because of the high silica content that is there. So this particular paddy cannot be given to animal. Okay, so therefore the farmers burn it. So rather than burning it, it can be given to the entrepreneurs, who will take this biomass, will convert those biomass into the biomass pellets, and will supply those biomass pellets to the coal fired power plant. These entrepreneurs will be able to make a business out of it. Moreover, the farmers, when they will be selling that particular thing, they will be able to get the additional income. Moreover, in this particular direction guys, already government has mandated that basically 5% of coal used in thermal power plants should be mixed with the biomass. Okay, so 5% biomass co-firing needs to be there into the thermal power plants. Okay, so this is going to be a win-win solution, and all the sides, there are the enabling frameworks that are there. Now guys, in this particular direction, few days back what happened, the Union Environment Ministry announced a 50 crore rupees scheme to incentivize the industrialists and entrepreneurs to set up the paddy, straw pelletization and torrefaction plants. Okay, now guys, what is torrefaction? Just a half a line concept. Okay, you see this particular thing. You convert the, okay, just a minute, I'll tell you. I'll show you, in fact. Give me just 1 second. Okay. Okay, you see this thing. Okay, so here you can see, so these are the biomass pellets. These are the biomass pellets. Now these biomass pellets, they are made by the paddy. Now if you heat it a little bit more, if you, after making these biomass pellets, if you heat it little bit more, what will happen? Whatever moisture is there into these biomass pellets, that moisture will evaporate, and if the moisture will evaporate, they will burn even more efficiently. They will emit less and the less of the smoke. Guys, understand this particular thing. The smoke is often the outcome because of the impurities and the water content that is there into the fuel. Okay, fine. So that particular thing will be reduced. So torrefaction is a process by which these biomass, these biomass pellets, they are further heated up so that the moisture content can be further reduced. So this is the torrefaction. Okay, this is the torrefaction. Okay, fine. So the 50 crore rupee scheme was launched for the straw pelletization and the torrefaction plants. Is it clear or not? Now in this particular thing, it was provided that the entrepreneurs will be incentivized, but the entrepreneurs are not happy with this particular thing. They say that this paddy pellet scheme does not account for production cost. Okay, they say this particular thing, this particular cost outlay is very much less. It has been provided this particular thing that when we talk about these pellet machines, pellet making machines, they cost around 1 to 1.5 crore rupees. Was clear? So a machine giving 1 ton of pellet per hour, it cost 1 to 1.5 crore rupees. So therefore the scheme that has been announced, just a 50 crore rupees layout that has been there, it is not something like this. So it has been provided. Okay, so even in this particular direction, it has been provided that just a minute, I'll show you. Right. So government, what government had said, it has been said that this is just a start. This is just a start. There might be the changes in the technology and widely different estimates onto the cost of pellet plant into the future, and the intention is to incentivize and not to fully fund an entrepreneur. Government is saying that the aim is not to fully fund an entrepreneur. Any serious entrepreneur will surely welcome the opportunity. It has been provided. So 50 crore rupees scheme is there. 40 crore rupees are for the pellet plants and 10 crore rupees are for the torrefaction plants. I told you the torrefaction process. So it has been something that has been provided. So the farmers say that, the entrepreneurs say that the more funding outlay should have been there. So this is, guys, all about this particular article, and now we'll move to the next article. Okay, before moving on, let's take some of the comments if they are there. Okay, okay, Jai Hind, Vande Mataram, Jai Hind, dear sir, please elaborate. Quote, difficult to understand. Okay, the quotation just simply mentioned this particular thing, that India has been a buffer zone. So when the terrorism, radicalism is coming from the sides of the Pakistan, India absorbs and safeguards the eastern countries. So India has been a buffer. Okay, good morning sir, I'm very enlightened by your videos. Thank you, dear. Okay, we have discussed the same article on 19 August. Okay, thank you, Minu. Okay, thank you, Minu, for telling. So earlier also the similar things have been discussed on 14th October. Yes, fine, fine. So let's move on to the next article. Tejas to be integrated with BrahMos NG missile in the few years. Okay, now what this particular article is talking about, guys, this particular article, first of all, will see with respect to the indigenization of defense, GS paper number 3. Indigenization of defense, GS paper number 3. Now the article talks about the recent interventions that the armed forces are doing in order to make the light combat aircraft Tejas compliant with carrying the BrahMos missiles. Okay, now first of all, when we talk about India, we have already successfully developed the light combat aircraft Tejas. Okay, now as we talk about this light combat aircraft Tejas, the capabilities of the Tejas is to be enhanced so that the firepower potential of the Tejas can be enhanced. Now guys, when we talk about the Tejas will be able to carry or launch the BrahMos supersonic missiles from the aircraft itself, and for that particular thing there is a new version of the BrahMos missile that is being developed, that is the BrahMos NG. Okay, that is the BrahMos next generation. Now when we talk about the BrahMos, guys, BrahMos is a joint venture between India and Russia, and they had, by this particular, under the BrahMos mission, India and Russia has developed the supersonic cruise missile. Okay, supersonic means that it travels faster than the speed of the sound. Okay, so there is a sonic, which travels at the speed of sound, subsonic less than the speed of the sound, and supersonic more than the speed of sound. There is also one more word, that is the hypersonic. Hypersonic means 5 times more than the speed of the sound. So BrahMos is a cruise missile. It is a supersonic missiles. Okay, now guys, when we talk about the BrahMos missile, you see this particular thing right now. The air launched missile version of the BrahMos, it weighs around 2.65 ton, and because of that particular thing, Su 30 MKI is now able to carry this particular missile. But as light combat aircraft Tejas, okay, that particular the Tejas is not able to carry the entire load of the multiple missiles of the BrahMos, which is the presently there. So therefore this new generation BrahMos is being developed, which will weigh half as much as the current air launched version, and because of that particular thing, they can be mounted onto the light combat aircraft Tejas into the future. So guys, the plan is that after this particular new generation BrahMos missile will be developed, it will weigh half. Okay, so its weight will be 1.33 ton compared to 2.65 ton that is there, and by that particular thing, Su 30 MKI will be able to carry up to 4 BrahMos new generation missiles, and Tejas will be able to carry 2 missiles. That is something that is there. Now by that particular thing, these missiles will attain a further capability. They will be able to be launched by land, by sea, by subsea, by the air, and this particular thing will further enhance the capabilities of the Indian Air Force, basically Indian Army, Indian Navy, okay, and the defense preparedness of the India will be enhanced by this particular development. So that is all about this particular article, and now we'll move to the next article. Smarter army posts to improve the living conditions of the troops. Okay, now guys, you don't need to go too much into the detail in this particular article. Just for to have the viewpoint of the things that are going on, we'll see this thing. So you might be knowing this particular thing, guys, that now the fronts are shifting. So today the Siachen glacier is becoming a front, LAC is becoming a front, though earlier also they were the front, but now they are becoming even more hostile fronts because of the China's incursions that have been there in the past. Now when the army is posted there, the personals, the Jawans who are living there, they face a lot of problems. For example, there are the major shortcomings such as the living standard is very poor. Why? Because the weather conditions is harsh, space which is available to men, it is very much limited, hygiene conditions are there, proper toilet facilities often they are not there, then water connectivity, power connectivity, safety, all these issues are there. So in order to enhance the living condition of the troops, now the smarter army posts are being developed. So basically recently what has happened, the army engineers, they have used the locally available materials such as the bamboo and all such kind of things, and they have developed a first of its kind integrated post, fine, in the Tawang sector, Now these particular posts, they have a very good amenities such as the hygiene amenities, electricity, and all such amenities have been provided. Now over the period 2 more such posts in the northern sector are expected to be completed by December, and these particular new posts will then be developed into the hostile fronts that are there. So this is one intervention that is going on. Now guys, these kind of things just can be added as one-liner points in your answers to further complement it. Okay, so that is all about it, and now we'll move to the next article. Supreme Court to examine rising attacks on doctors by disgruntled relatives. Okay, now in the past, guys, you might have seen it many number of times into the news that many a times people attack on the doctors if they lose some of their relative or their loved one in the hospital. Many number of times there are the genuine concerns of the relatives, because sometimes there is the negligence on the part of the doctors or the paramedic staff, or sometimes the patients are not attended properly with a compassion, with an empathy. So therefore the relatives, they have the concerns, but at the same time there are many of the cases where just out of frustration these attacks have been made onto the doctors, onto the paramedics in the past. Now this is something which demoralizes the doctors. Now when we talk about, guys, doctors, they have been called as real frontline warriors. They have kept their lives on the stake, often particularly during the times of the pandemic, and they have helped the poor people. But people, out of the frustration, have many times attacked the doctors. Now in this particular direction, what has happened, a doctor has approached the Supreme Court. A doctor has approached the Supreme Court and has asked that there should be a very stringent directive, a strong directive, that such attacks needs to be reduced. And Supreme Court has now decided to step in and has decided to examine the circumstances behind the rising attacks on and criminal cases registered against the medical doctors by the disgruntled patients. Now you see this particular thing, many times the patient's relative, they file a case that it was a medical negligence, though it might not be, but they still, such kind of a complaints are passed, FIRs are lodged. Okay, so that is something that has happened. So these cases that are being filed against the doctors, they will be investigated, and the reasons of rising the attacks, they will be investigated. This is something that has been provided in this particular article. Is it clear? However, this particular case will now going on, and now after this particular thing, the personal story, the personal account of the doctor who had faced such an one such attack, it has been provided. Okay, so this is, guys, all about this particular article. Okay, now guys, when we talk about such kind of a things, I want to just tell you two of the values. I just want to tell you two of the values, that is the value of empathy, and the value of compassion, Okay, now what is empathy? Empathy, it is to sense other person's pain, to step in the shoes of the another person and to feel their pain, to feel their suffering. That is empathy. And the compassion is to help somebody who is in pain, to take some step, action, and relieve that particular person's pain. So that is the empathy and the compassion. Now guys, whenever a person is in crisis, or when a person senses that he might be losing someone loved one, the person enters in a kind of a then a person enters in a kind of a grief. At that point of a time, the doctors even are expected to have more of empathy, and they should be having more of a value of compassion also. So this is some thing that I want to tell you here. This is all, guys, about it. And now we'll take the mains practice question for the today. So today's mains practice question, the question reads that China's rise as an economic, technological, military and political powerhouse has resulted in tectonic shifts into the power balance. In this context, discuss how the rise of China will continue to be a challenge for nations in the Indo-Pacific. So guys, this is a very good question we have tried to make for you. Now this particular question can be asked even in the GS paper number 2, international relations. So this is a 15 marker question. Okay, so that is all, guys, about it. With this, we come to an end to the today's newspaper analysis. Now guys, we'll be meeting on Monday. So guys, understand, if you don't know, basically we keep the Sunday as a day for revision, consolidation of the topics. Okay, I have seen this particular thing many number of times, okay, that the aspirants, they are not very pertinent onto the revision. Okay, so please keep one day at least for the revision and the consolidation of your one entire week's newspaper analysis that has been there. Moreover, on Sunday, we don't have the editorial text and the context. Okay, that is the case. However, if there is some relevant articles in the paper, that I will try to cover on the Monday as well. So that is all about this particular session today. Guys, I hope that you have understood it, and if you're liking the video, please do hit the like button. Guys, understand this particular thing, that your support is very crucial for the continuity of this particular initiative. Is it clear? So guys, your support is very crucial for that particular thing. That is all for today. Thank you so much.